It's Wednesday. We are live here on the Real Kyper at Noon show, episode 73 coming up. Hope everybody is well, getting your fix, your midweek fix of the NHL. Lots of storylines today, including what we have on the lead thumbnail. Toffoli, terrific. And the Vancouver Canucks getting their fill of Toffoli. That's it. We've had it. We don't want to play Vancouver again. This guy has got 8 goals in 5 games just against Vancouver. Leads the league at 9, but only has 1 goal to show for it. God, can he play against anyone else? All kidding aside, what an unbelievable start for Tyler Toffoli, which, before we get into anything around the league, and there's plenty to talk about, including the Montreal Canadiens, Shea Weber playing his 1,000th game. What a terrific presentation, always. Empty building, doesn't matter. The Montreal Canadiens will get it right. I've always said this. There's no better presentation in a playoff atmosphere than in Montreal. The hairs on the back of your neck rise right before puck drop. Didn't matter what area you played in. Montreal was the place to be on a playoff night, but they get it right with Shea Weber. Also, some talk about the Buffalo Sabres and how pissed off they are against or at the league or New Jersey, but we've got postponed games. I do believe that there is a lot of concern moving forward on how this is going to play out and what the league can still do to make sure that teams like Buffalo aren't pissed off. So we'll get into that a little later. And, we'll follow up even D'Angelo. And what a response by all of you from our show the other day. Our little tweet had over 20,000 views, and a lot of passionate people. Kind of leaked a little bit out on whether or not you take a chance on a guy that has 53 points last season, a guy that got actual votes for a Norris Trophy. Would you take him? And you were passionate, no question about that. When we read some of the comments, many of you wanting nothing to do with that guy. So we'll revisit that. But first and foremost, let's go down to a chilly Doug Maclean in Florida.
Yeah, it's chilly. I mean, look, it was down into the mid-40s last night, and we had to cancel golf this morning and move it to 2 o'clock this afternoon because it's going to be up to 65 by this afternoon, and that's really strange in South Florida here. I mean, tough to get a day under 70 Fahrenheit, but anyway, that's okay. I'll go out and try to hit them today. We'll see how it goes. I haven't been very good lately, which is really frustrating. I've been a bit like my golf has been relatively similar to the Sens play.
Wow. That's another issue that we'll get into. The Ottawa Senators continue to be the North Division punching bag. And we'll get into that first. But let's start with Toffoli and what he is doing to Jim Benning and the constant reminders that this guy should have, for all intent and purposes, still be in a Vancouver Canuck uniform, Mac. And it is the biggest, most glaring mistake right now. And we can talk about long-term that a lot of Vancouver Canucks feel today, though the biggest mistake was letting Markstrom go, and that may be the case. But today, Markstrom pales in comparison to the shit sandwich that Vancouver Canuck fans are taking down their throat right now with Tyler Toffoli.
Well, it starts when you make a trade for him and you give up Johnny Madden's young fella from Northeastern and a draft pick to acquire Toffoli, and then you don't get him re-signed. And talking to some people this morning, it appears that Toffoli really wanted to go back to Vancouver. And, obviously, why wasn't he signed? Well, there's a lot of chirping about Virtanen being signed for $2.5 million, a Benning draft pick. But was there other circumstances, Nick, that led to the fact that Toffoli and Markstrom and a number of guys weren't signed?
Toffoli on an average year is going to get you 20 goals. And on a good year, over the course of 82, it could easily be 30 to 35. That's how talented he is. And we're seeing it now. So when you make a trade like that and you give up a futures, and let's not forget a second rounder was also involved in that trade,
right.
Mac.
Right.
And then you don't even make him an offer to stay, Mac. And this is when the market started tanking. This is when, outside of Taylor Hall, this guy is the next best goal scorer out there.
Right.
And in a perfect world, could have been looking at closer to $6 million. And the only real legitimate offer he gets at 4.5, Mac, times 4, is from the Montreal Canadiens. And you find out that Vancouver didn't even make an offer. Didn't even make an offer. So if you tell me that, then people should kind of back off Jim Benning a little bit and go into the ownership and say, why wasn't at least 4.5 to match good enough to have him stay? Because we do know it was his first choice to stay.
Yeah, I mean, why Jim Benning, is taking some serious heat, and he's taking it because now they're saying, well, he gave Virtanen $2+ million. He should have put that towards Toffoli. Virtanen, who's been a draft pick, who was a draft pick of Benning's, he's been sort of in and out there, popular, not popular. But to let this guy go, but more than that, they have turned over 25% of their team. When you think about Tanev, Sketcher, Levo, Markstrom, Toffoli, 25% of their team is turned over. And you're wondering why they're struggling a little bit. Well, Markstrom made up for a lot of deficiencies with that team last year. Toffoli, whether you say he's a goal scorer, and I say, yeah, but he also plays a 200-foot game. He's also a smart, solid guy, two-way guy.
He's got 2 short-handed goals, Max. So
right.
there is more to his game than just sticking him on the ice to try to score a goal.
So why were these 5 guys let go, not signed? Somebody told me that they couldn't get over $5 million on Mark, that there was an ownership challenge there because of the dollars. So now we say, well, 5 players left, Travis Green not signed. Why is it all happening? And don't blame Jim Benning here. There's a lot more to it, as you said. There's more to it than Jim Benning. But
Mac, as a general manager, as a president, that you are paid to take the bullets.
You all right. Sure are.
And right now, Jim's taking them for maybe the financial backing that not too many people know about.
Yeah, and look, whatever the reason is, it really is a bad look right now with this guy with 8 goals. 8 of his 9 against the Vancouver Canucks, and big goals, games that put the game over the top in a couple of situations. Yeah, it is a bad look, and this doesn't happen when your team takes such a step that the Canucks took last year. You have got to battle your own. I mean, look, it's not comfortable to battle your owner. Maybe I battled my guy maybe one too many times. That's fine, but it's not comfortable to battle your owner when you have to make trades, and you got to sign players, but you got to sell it as best you can to your owner, and you've got to say, hey, we've got to get this done if we're going to take a step. COVID-19, how much did that have to do with it? Probably from an owner perspective. Whatever it is a big mistake. And who is responsible? If it's Aquilini, is it Benning? Whatever the case is, Travis Green is paying a little bit of a price for it right now, and so are the Canucks. Big.
You're telling me that these type of owners, and Mac, these guys aren't used to losing any money at all, okay? I don't care how much money you have. when you're not used to losing money, I'm sure these guys are rattled. No revenue, Mac.
No, I get it. I get it. I understand it. I know it's not good, but you know, you still have to get your good players signed. You still have to figure it out some way. And I know it's uncomfortable. I know it. I mean, I had some screaming matches with my owner. It wasn't pleasant. And it you know, I mean, anyway, that's just the way it goes.
Were you able to convince your owner on occasion to dig deeper, or is it a lost cause when it comes to how much money they're willing to spend?
I had a couple of situations where it was more with my situation because of being in more of an expansion situation. It was around trade deadline where it was always get rid of money. I mean, I traded Daryl Sador because of money to Tampa. And it was the same thing. He goes to Tampa, he friggin' played unbelievable. They win a Stanley Cup, and I'm sitting there looking like a dummy. And it was all about getting rid of his money. It happened with Ray Whitney. We couldn't get Ray Whitney signed. He was our captain. He was our leading scorer, 70-plus points. And, the money wasn't there to sign him. So, yeah, you win some, you lose some. I went to him and talked to him about trading Zherdev when I had a deal with Dallas to trade Zherdev. And he gave in on that. He said, yeah, you go ahead and do what you think is right. So, I mean, my guy was terrific. Aquilini wouldn't be an easy guy to deal with. I guarantee you that. And I don't even know Aquilini, but I can imagine it wouldn't be pleasant.
Well, it just seems again that for whatever reason, it just seems to be Mark Bergevin's year. And the decision to go and trade for Josh Anderson, again, 2 goals last night, looking every bit of the horse that he is.
Yeah.
And Toffoli, Mac, Toffoli, to be smart enough to say at $4.5 million that, and he didn't have to go 6 years, Mac. It's 4-year deal.
Okay.
It's just looking awfully good right now.
And listen to this. Listen to this. Do you remember?
Back. We apologize for that technical glitch. I think Mac crashed the internet on his. You were just heating up, Mac. A little talk about the Vancouver Canucks going after Ekman Larsson, and perhaps it was a ploy, Mac, to save money in other areas to go get this guy.
Well,
it didn't happen.
That is really an interesting situation. We heard lots about that this summer, that Ekman Larsson wanted to go there. And did this have any bearing on the fact that money was being pushed aside to get Larsson done? And then, of course, that falls through, and then you're out of luck. So that would be interesting to know if that had any bearing on it. So there's lots of variables here that it caused 25% of a team that had a great playoff run to now be in a situation that they're in and out. They played better last night. Look, I liked Vancouver's game last night against Montreal. They battled hard. Montreal's one of the best teams in the league right now, and Vancouver battled hard. But there's some big pieces that are missing there, to say the least.
Travis Green wanted to make that point after the game that there's a lot of stuff that they liked. He liked, which at this point, Mac, still a young team, and they're real. For me, it's even strength. They can't play right now 5-on-5. The lack of depth, the 25% that you were talking about, shines at 5-on-5.
Well, you know what?
Vancouver.
You look at the big six, and I mean, I absolutely love Pettersson, and I was trying to when I was watching last night on the power play, he's starting to get it going really well, and he's picking up some points. 5-on-5, not quite the same, and I'm sitting there thinking, is this guy gonna get? I mean, he's getting extra attention. He's gonna get a ton of attention because he's that good. With that slight frame, is he gonna gain? Is he going to gain the necessary weight muscle combination that he is going to be able to take the next step and be as great a player as I thought he was going to become? And most hockey people think he's going to become. Is he going to get bigger and stronger? Because that slight frame is a little bit of an issue, you know? So we've got to see what happens with that, you know?
Mac, it's time to take your medication.
I know.
I heard the.
What the hell is my alarm going off for? Like, seriously, it was an alarm. I know what it was. It was an alarm to stop talking about the Vancouver Canucks. Okay, move the show. You know what? But listen, Hughes gets 3 assists last night. He's getting his game going. Pettersson, to me, is not quite the same player. Horvat, I mean, he's got to be good. Boeser's been good. Their bottom 6 have helped them. Their top 6, not so good. And I mean, their defense, to me, isn't as good. So,
well, the good news is that
and their goaltending.
Toffoli only has 4 more games against Vancouver. They're over the halfway mark.
4 more games. That's another. That's 16 goals in total he could have against them. Oh my God! And Bergevin looks like a friggin' genius.
No. You know? They can't do anything wrong right now. The Montreal Canadiens. Every guy that he picked up is shining. The goaltending is great. I mentioned off the top, Shea Weber plays in 1,000 games right now, and you know he's going so well, Mac. And you know, just to revisit, you know, that whole PK Subban trade and what that's meant to the organization, the struggling years, the first couple there, and now it's kind of paying off. Now, we can always look back at that and look at the pros and cons, but Shea Weber, Mac, he's going to be turning, I think, 36 this summer and still playing at an extremely high level. You know, the surgeries, the tendon, the complicated tendon injury that's been well documented by me, as Montreal Canadian fans have reminded me constantly on. But he is still a dominant force out there in certain ways. And the system seems to be playing right into his hands, where don't have to be a skater like Quinn Hughes to have success still. And he's proven that. But it seems no more than ever, Mac, that it's the time now for Montreal to go for this thing in the next year or two, based on what Bergevin's been able to do, because Shea Weber's got 6 more years on this deal at $7.8 million.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know.
The Shea Weber situation will turn ugly eventually, but
eventually it could.
Doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon.
But let's also give credit to Bergevin for the acquisition of Sherratt. I mean, They have been an unbelievable tandem. They've created offense. They move the puck. They keep it simple. Yeah. What a pair that has grown into be. Then you say, what about Petrie and what he's become with the way he's playing, especially offensively, and he's solid defensively. I mean, that's right. Edmonton, a great pickup. The drafting of Romanoff. I mean, all of a sudden, you look at all those things. Then
it's one of the best defensive cores.
We haven't even talked Anderson yet. And Allen last night, was Allen the first star of the game last night? I mean, he made some big saves for them. So it's been a great story.
Petrie has turned into what John Carlson is to Washington. Petrie has turned into that guy in Montreal.
You always liked Petrie, but there was something missing early on in Detroit. You didn't know, was he tough enough? We knew he had skill. Well, I'll tell you what, he's become a valuable player for the Montreal Canadiens. So look, lots of good things. I watched, you watch Anderson last night. I mean, the way this guy skates, can he stay healthy? He right now is one of the best wingers in the game. And what has he done for Drouin? What has Anderson done for Drouin's game? Suzuki's been terrific. So all of a sudden, and listen, Gallagher's line hasn't really started to score yet. I mean, Tatar, Gallagher, Danault, look, they haven't really started to score yet. So anyway, lots of good things going on. Yeah. But back to Vancouver, this must be driving the coach crazy. It's got to be driving the coach crazy. But anyway.
I'm sorry, who's Travis? Or we
Travis? Yeah, it's got to be driving Travis crazy.
We're done. We're done. We're
done. But I just got to keep going back.
No. Your alarm clock went off, Mac, and it was correct. We've got to move on. And I hope Jill at least separated Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays for your medication and your little packages.
Oh my God, I've never felt so good in my life.
I
saw big layoffs. I was saddened to see layoffs, and I'm thinking, thank God I can't get laid off anymore. I don't have to worry. That's the one thing I don't have to worry about getting fired by an NHL team, and I don't have to worry about getting laid off by my I shouldn't say I wasn't laid off and I wasn't fired. My contract wasn't renewed, So I don't have to worry about those things anymore. It's really good.
I'll tell you when you don't have to worry. We've got internal meetings here at Real Kyper at noon show, and as we evaluate you, we'll let you know.
Okay. Hey, listen, if you can get somebody to share, I'm prepared to do job sharing if you need it. Where's Panger and where's Alan May and all these guys?
Hey,
I'm prepared to do some job sharing.
Jeremiah was asking how far Suzuki is basically away from Maselke. The one thing that stood out even before he went to next level this year was he thinks the game exceptionally well, better than most players that I watch now on a daily basis, and he's got a terrific stick, Mac. This guy could turn into a Patrice Bergeron. He really could.
Yeah, look, I love his creativity as well. I mean, he's putting up points. Let's not kid ourselves. He's helping Anderson and he's helping, these other guys as well. I mean, Drouin. Suzuki's a big part of why Anderson is good. I never thought about his defensive side. I was a little concerned about that going into the season because of his age. Him and Kokiniemi hasn't been a problem. So you're right. Saying he's going to become another Bergeron is saying a lot.
Yeah, it's saying a lot.
This kid has been very, very impressive. And hey, he has not dropped a notch since his series against Pittsburgh last year, where he really stepped to the forefront.
I like his chances of turning into a Patrice Bergeron than most other guys in the league right now.
Yeah. And, he's that good.
He is that good. That good. Okay, one more comment maybe on Vancouver, and then we'll officially use your alarm. Maybe Vancouver could use another dose of the Ottawa Senators, because the Edmonton Oilers are certainly feasting. When your game's bad, just call on the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, look, I feel for them, and I talked to some people yesterday, and they said, you know what, I'll tell you what. As frustrated as they are with their veterans, they are really frustrated with their goaltending. They could have won 2 or 3 games if they had respectable goaltending. And what is going on with Murray right now? Hugberg, look, a draft pick from years ago. Last night on that Draisaitl goal, it was embarrassing. He was in the corner when the puck went in the net.
Mac,
angle.
It just didn't even go in the net, Mac.
So
it was a foot inside the post. It wasn't even post in or inside of the post. He didn't have a clue where his net was.
So where has their goaltending? They start off with the big game against the Leafs. They're physical. They're playing hard. Their goaltending was solid. Murray disappears on that contract. Hogeberg, I don't think he's good enough. So So how can they get some goaltending? Coburn goes on waivers today. Look, this is last night, I love Goodbranson. He's a number 5-6 guy. He and Coburn are a pair together. They've had to take Josh Brown out of the lineup. They put in Zub for his first game this year. I believe it was his first game. He was okay. But what are they going to do here to get this turned around? 9 in a row in a shortened season. I mean, you got Stepan, who's a problem. I mean, right now whether it's family situation, who knows what it is.
They're trying to trade Stepan right now. Like you barely got him, and now you're hearing that they're trying to move him out. Come on, what's going on there?
Well, the question would be: is he pushing that? Is Stepan saying, "Look, this isn't working"? DJ doesn't really like him. I'm not convinced he likes DJ. The question is he pushing that as well? Is this his family's in Arizona, 3 young kids, newborn, quarantine issues, visiting? I mean, maybe it's just too much. So look, the downside here is what happens to the Sens if they all of a sudden start getting rid of salary here? They're the lowest paid team in the league right now. What if they start that show again?
Are we going to
get rid of salaries and we're going to pick up more draft picks?
You anticipate money issues coming into play now again for Eugene Melnyk and this organization? Like they just spent money, Mac, this past summer. Now we're going to hear that they're unloading.
But they spent money to get to the floor. Which is, you have to do that. But they felt really good. Davidoff was a good player in Florida. I know he had backup, but he was a good player there.
Mac.
Paquette was a good fourth line guy that can't right now. I mean, he gets his first goal last night. I know he's not a scorer, but he hasn't been close to what he looked like with that group in Tampa. I mean, we thought they were going to be respectable, and they are awful. Now, goaltending is a big part of it. Their kids have been okay.
Matt Murray's biggest issue right now is his lack of confidence, and the body language is just horrific right now. It's similar to the struggles that he had in Pittsburgh. But Mac, I get it. You're not turning down $6.25 million times 4, but you had to have known you were going to one of the worst teams in the league, and it was gonna be ugly.
Well, I didn't think it would be that ugly. I thought they would be a little bit more competitive than this. I really did. But this is there's no time now. I mean, it has got. And you ask if there are financial issues. There was financial issues in Ottawa, well documented when there was fans in the building. What the hell would it be like now with no fans? With all due respect to the genius Anthony Fibber LeBlanc from Arizona, he doesn't even have to fib anymore. He doesn't have to lie about how many people are in the building, how well they're doing. I mean, poor Anthony. I mean, anyway.
We know Eugene at start of the season talking about wanting to get as many as 5,000 or 6,000 people in the building. He got caught way ahead of himself and took a lot of heat for that. But that was obviously out of a necessity of needing to bring in some revenue.
Yeah.
But as far as Matt Murray is concerned, Mac, and I said this, that, he doesn't get the leeway of other players on that team to have a bad week or two, but he's just going to have to come to terms that he is going to have many nights like he's had already in the first 3 weeks. And they're not good. They are worse than I thought defensively. I thought Goodbranson and Colburn could offer some stability, but between him and even Josh Brown, who I thought could come in and give them a little bit of a presence, like Mac, they suck right now, and that defense just is not good enough for Matt Murray. So if Matt Murray can stomach being really bad, then really the contract should be about 2 years from now for Matt Murray. That's when he should really be judged. I watched some of these goals, Mac. They're going off of Josh Norris, who's 40 feet away. I don't know if he's trying to block it or his stick's in the way. I watched Brock Boeser walk out of a goal line scramble, not getting touched. Like, I know Matt Murray needs to be better. I get that. But with that blue line, how could you even really gauge how bad he's been?
And the schedule is tough because you go into a city, you lose the first game, and you got 2 or 3 more games, like against the same team who are desperate to get their season turned around, and there's just no time to get this fixed. That's the downside of it. So the question is, to me, is when do they start selling? When do they start selling and getting more draft picks? And then the fan base could really get ugly. So I feel for them. I feel for them. I don't like it. I thought they'd be a little bit better. Dadonov, I mean, Nick, where the hell is he? Has this guy even showed up from Florida?
I appreciate the numbers that he was able to put up again, Mac, in Florida, but playing with Huberdeau and Barkov, and then going up to what? It's like these guys, their games aren't good enough to stand on their own. They're not. And now he's taking a lot of heat, and Montreal's or Ottawa's taking a lot of heat for spending $5 million on this guy.
Yeah,
like I don't know. I don't know where Ottawa's going here, moving forward. And if you say that now they're going to try to unload here,
well, I don't know. I know they're trying to find. I think they're. I got to believe they're trying to find a defenseman. I got to believe they're desperately trying to find a defenseman, whether he's a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. They've got to try to find a defenseman.
Don't you have to call up your blue chip prospect that you acquired in Vegas, Mark Stone trade? Don't you need to call him up and find out what the hell you have there before you start trading? That guy should be in the lineup this week.
And I suspect he will be. I suspect he will be in the lineup in the next few days.
That's Brandstrom.
That I've got to believe is going to happen.
Yeah, but Mac, again, we're talking about a 5'9", 5'10", 170 pounds maybe guy coming in. Think about the pressure that Pierre Dorian's having right now to get this guy in the lineup or get him to shine, and this guy needing to come in and anchor a little bit of this blue line.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It is an issue. There's no doubt about it.
Well, at least the Edmonton Oilers feel better about their game. I'm not sure you can tell how better they've gotten in the last week playing against the Ottawa Senators, but Puljujärvi feels good.
Well, how could you not feel good? You're playing on Connor McDavid's wing, and McDavid is absolutely on fire. I mean, he could have had a couple more goals last night with the way he's playing, but it was good to see Puljujärvi score a couple of goals, and at least he's battling. He looks like he's playing with some confidence. Barrie is getting better. Barrie has gotten better for them, which is a real plus. He's at least getting some points and playing a little better.
Yeah.
So that's a plus for them. But they've got a ways to go yet. There's no denying that. So anyway.
Well, it's interesting. Tyson Barrie now feeling a little better, and someone had told me out Edmonton that if there's one guy that wouldn't benefit from a short training camp, it's Tyson Barrie. So maybe
that was Lenny. That was Lenny.
No, Leonard. You're talking about Leonard in Vancouver.
No, I'm talking about Lenny Barrie.
Oh, Lenny Barrie. Oh, okay.
He had trouble with camp too.
It's interesting to hear now, 3 weeks in, a month in now, that who maybe didn't show up in the best shape and who didn't. But I would suggest that Tyson Barrie's starting to feel a little better about his game, because maybe he's just feeling a little bit like his conditioning is coming back. How's that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a little, that would really piss me off. I'll tell you what. How would that? There's nothing that pisses you off more as a GM than having that situation happen. Let me tell you.
All right. Let's listen. Do you hear any trade demands for Patrick Laine coming out of Columbus yet, or
trade me?
Trade me. Apparently, he absolutely, according to Jeff Rimmer, he absolutely loves Columbus. He absolutely loves Columbus.
And
Torts is happy with him. I think he was -2 last night, but
it's
he's
all right.
happy. He's really happy with him defensively. And actually, the kid, in fairness, he hasn't skated in a while. He was a little rusty last night, but he was the first guy in the post-game press conference to admit that I got to be a lot better. He made some plays. You know what? He's going to help them. There's no
Mac, first
doubt
of all,
about that. He's going to help them a lot.
Speaking of a short training camp, right? I think he got 8 or 9 days in Winnipeg. He plays one great game and gets hurt. And then he misses 14 days on the ice and comes back and plays right away and plays 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it was, you can't complain about that.
No.
You know what's sort of jumping out at me a little bit is this central division. Is this division? I don't know what it's called. But all of a sudden, you're sitting there and you're Columbus with Line A coming in and you need him to come in. You've got Tampa's going to make the playoffs. Dallas is going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Carolina are going to make the playoffs. Those three are going to make the playoffs. So then you say Florida, Nashville, Columbus. One of those three are going to get in. One of those three, because Chicago and Detroit, I don't see them being in contention. So we got an amazing race there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Line A's importance is huge for them.
Well, they
have a chance to make the playoffs.
They missed the big horse down the middle of the ice, which is always a concern on that trade, and mine from the get-go. But if they get anything near the goaltending that they had in the bubble with Korpisalo and Merzlikins, they're going to be fine. And that blue line, Mac, the Seth Jones and Rowinski,
Savard,
if they're able to kind of anchor those 3-2, 3-1 scores, then Line A will find a way to get the puck in the net. The other guys can just fill in nicely. But they should be a playoff bound team, Mac.
Yeah, and I heard Jody Shelley mention last night on the broadcast. I mean, let's not forget the unbelievable chemistry between Atkinson and Panarin. We say they need a center iceman. They're young down the middle with Texier and company. But the fact that if the Atkins could find the same magic with Line A that he found with Panarin, that could be fun to watch. So, hopefully they're going to have a chance here to improve. He'll definitely help their power play. Korpisalo wasn't great last night. Merzlikins wasn't great the game before that in Chicago. But prior to that, they've been unbelievable for them. So they're getting great goaltending.
You think Jarmo's feeling it already to sign Patrick Laine to a long-term deal here?
Oh my God! If he could, he wants to get him done. I mean, listen, the clock's ticking on this. They've got to get him signed on a long-term deal. They've got to. The franchise cannot lose another top-end guy. You've got to get him signed. So I'm hoping that Line A likes it there, wants to be there, sees a future there, but I'd be real nervous on that one.
So Patrick Laine's got Columbus by the short ones, but you are
totally
in a pandemic, and there is a correction in the market that we've witnessed. Where you're the general manager? Let's say you got hired back there. Where do you start? Where's your happy spot to get Patrick Laine signed?
I think it's your happy spot is $9 million. You know that arbitration is going to give them that
9 times 8.
That's the happy spot, and that is in this with a correction change. With him not being a centerman and him not being a big D, because the minute you give him 9, what are you looking at with Jones and Werenski? And Merzlikins and Korpisalo, all those guys are up in 2 years' time. That's the tough part. When you give a winger that kind of money, we know what happened with Stone in Vegas. He got similar money. We know what Pietrangelo got. You know what Jones is going to be looking for in the free agent market. That is where it is really tough. But can they get him done in those numbers? I I don't know. I mean, it's going to come down to whether he wants to be there. And I hope for the Blue Jackets' sake that he wants to be there. I really do.
I would think that Patrick Laine would sign on the dotted line tomorrow if it was 10 times 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he would.
Would you?
But what does that do to your...
that? Would you get there? Or again, Mac, Seth Jones is going to want... He's going to want...
Pietrangelo. He's going to want Pietrangelo money.
And he'll get it in 2 years.
And what's Werenski going to want? You know, and what's Korpisalo going to want from his, what's Korpisalo?
I know.
2.5. So one of the two goalies will go. So look, it's just, it's a tough situation, but would I give it to him? If I'm Kekalainen right now, I'd get it done. I'd get it done and get this perception of Stars not wanting to be there off the table, because it leaves for the time being when he signs.
You lived it there.
Yeah, and look, I know everybody's got the perception. It's a great town. It's a great city. We loved it there. But they've got to get over this somehow, some way. And that's the big first step.
Okay, challenging times, Mac, with postponed games again. Buffalo is absolutely livid. And for those of you that don't know at least a little bit of the detail, Buffalo's biggest issue was with New Jersey, the fact that that there might have been some issues with COVID, and yet they continued to play Saturday night. So basically, the biggest thing is that you've got these tests that the NHL conduct and the Players Association, all that. And those are essentially 24-hour tests. And the guys come in every morning and they get tested. Problem is by the time you send out the test to the lab, you get it back 24 hours later. So there's a chance that you could test on a morning and have it, play that night, and not hear about the results the following morning. And that's what Buffalo believes happened and put themselves at risk because of it. Now, the NBA, they have, I'm told, rapid tests, meaning that they come in the morning of, they have a rapid test, and they can hear the results within 20 minutes. And I think that's where I think that the NHL now has to really consider going. Here's the problem, Mac, is the difference between 24-hour tests and rapid tests are millions of dollars.
Oh.
Millions. And I don't know whether or not the NHL can afford it, to be quite honest.
Wow.
So,
well, they got a $1 billion line of credit. They may have to jump in on that a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe it's worth the $7 to $10 million, somewhere in that ballpark of rapid testing. But I hope again, Mac, that we could find a way to get through this and grind it out to an eventual championship. But it's tough right now.
Yeah, it really is.
You got any money to lend them?
Well, I am starting Social Security soon, so.
And you're all caught up with your shots.
That's to cover my golf debts.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll keep an eye on that. And what else around the league? Nathan McKinnon goes down, week or two, maybe longer. Grubauer stepped up. Mac, he had a good game, and they've at least Colorado can show that they can win without Nathan.
Listen, have a look at their back end last night.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, did they have 4 guys dressed that are under 23, 24 years of age? Byram, this guy looks like he's Makar out there.
Yeah.
And Timmons, I mean, this is a unbelievable good looking back end. So it was impressive when you say, wow, how good have they got it on the back end right now? you lose McKinnon. You got the big guys up front and ranting and on and on and on. But that young blue line is unbelievably impressive.
Okay, we also mentioned at the top of the show Tony DeAngelo, Mac, and that whole scenario and how we were focused on it the other day and the response, Mac, on where fans sit on this guy, and ultimately, would they welcome him in a trade? Darren Dreger went on record the other night saying that he believes that there's a marketplace for him. I got to think, knowing the NHL as I do, Mac, that there's always warts that you can find on players, and yes, DeAngelo's warts are a little bit more prominent than others. But if it always comes back to, can he help my team win? GMs, owners will look at that. And right now there's a sense that our team's interested.
Well, I didn't get that this morning when I sniffed around.
No, you didn't.
I got that the agents are trying to push it here a little bit and create. I didn't get the feeling there's a huge market for this guy right now.
Okay. That's interesting.
But I will be interested to see if that's the case. I hope for his sake it is the case. I didn't get that vibe today that there is a whole lot of action going on. Yeah. And I understand you got to drive markets. I understand that. But I didn't get the vibe. But I may be wrong. Be wrong.
He is represented by Pat Brisson and CAA, if not the biggest, one of the biggest in hockey. You know, we know the big,
they're great,
powerful people that, sometimes these guys can move mountains for players, Mac. And maybe it is CAA trying to drive a marketplace, but we do know that the longer this season goes, the more pressure there is on teams to try to improve. And it may take some time, but would it surprise you if DeAngelo is in another uniform by the end of this season?
No, it wouldn't. I heard that the market's not totally hot, but it wouldn't surprise me. Like this guy's a pretty good player. And you know what?
Yeah.
I mean, you can use good players, and you always think that you can help fix the problem. That's what you always hope when you're acquiring a player. History has shown that it works sometimes. I mean, how many teams have said, we want Galchenyuk because we think we can get him going? What is he on his 5th team now?
Yeah.
And he's not even dressing in Ottawa? I mean, how many times does this happen? And he didn't have, I don't know what his problems were, but I would have to say that DeAngelo's were a little, and I can't even comment on it because I don't know if it's true. You know,
you're going to have to let it die down a little bit. It's still way too fresh. Even the incident that happened between DeAngelo and Georgiev and
that,
Chris Kreider coming into, allegedly breaking it up, whatever the case is.
Hey, I had
Miller's
2 players
name getting driven. Yeah.
I had my captain and another player in a brawl in the parking garage outside, leaving the rink with their suits on. You know, I mean, there's got to be a ton of other things.
So who was that? Who's the captain back then?
That was Lyle Odeline and Christophe Olawa duked it out in the parkade after the game.
When did you find out about this? The very next day?
I found out about it about 30 minutes after it happened.
Were you like Chicago PD, where they find the garage video and draw it up?
Oh my God! What a guy need, talk about headaches. But anyway,
well,
they got upset with each other.
Well, that's the biggest thing. Is it's still fresh that he was a headache in New York, and the older players didn't want to put up with his shit, and all of that comes into play, Mac. But I consider him more of a power play specialist.
Yeah.
Than anything else.
Too. But he's a tough kid. I mean, I don't know. I hope he gets a job. I hope he does, and I hope he smartens up.
Well,
whatever his problem is. I don't know what his problem is.
It's like yours a little bit. You got to know when to park it.
Hot-headedness.
Hot-headedness.
Oh my God! If I knew now if I would have known now what I know, if I knew then what I know now, oh my God, seriously, I would have made a few alterations along
All
the
right.
way.
What else is anything else
I'm
stick out from
maturing.
you? Anything
No,
else?
No, there's nothing else. I mean, games tonight. I mean, I'm
Just
you
two
know,
tonight.
I
Wednesday's
mean,
quiet.
my Bruins have looked actually pretty good, coming back 3-0 against Wash the other night. My Bruins that I picked and you were a little hesitant on have looked pretty good. Pasternak's back, and oh my God, is he on fire? So, I'm pleased with them.
Not exactly cheap goals, with him.
Oh,
they're just.
Oh my God, I love this kid. I love this kid as a player. I love his attitude I've never met the kid. I don't know him from Adam. I just love watching him play. I really do.
Yeah, that's psychologically that comeback against Washington, Mac, for that team.
And did you see the assist on the winning goal?
Was that Smith's winning goal?
Yeah,
the defenseman, the backhand defenseman,
Lazon? No, that was Crowley from behind the net, throwing it right out front. Beautiful assist on the goal. Just a beautiful play.
And where's Sean Crowley from?
He's from his grandmother lives in PEI.
Oh, okay. There's always
his grandparents lived in PEI.
Yes,
they have cottage there.
We should get this show sponsored by Ancestry, or
we should get it sponsored by Amalgamated Dairies in PEI.
It always comes back to PEI on the Real Kyper at Noon show. All right, nothing else that stands out, Mac. We're gonna let you go, buddy.
I'm gonna tee it up this afternoon. I've got it. Like last 4 rounds, 94, 94, 94, 94. Come on, I gotta get it going. I gotta get it going, or I'm gonna quit.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You just
Jill. You sound like Jill. She said you're not quitting golf because I need you at the golf course 4 hours, 5 hours a day. I need you there.
God Almighty, what a woman! Hey, she's awesome. Mine's like, when are you coming home? When are you coming home? Yeah, she's kicking you to the golf course.
Oh yeah, totally.
All right,
you need new clubs? You need new clubs?
All right. Anyway. Two games on tap, Detroit and Tampa Bay tonight, and your Boston Bruins against the Flyers. That should be an interesting battle.
That's a great test. That's a great test for both teams. I love it.
All right, Mac. Sorry to have you struggle playing golf today in 65-degree weather. We really hope it gets it going for you.
Got my vest. I'm ready to go.
All right, Doug Maclean, everybody, out of Florida, FLA, a balmy 65. Thanks for doing this, Mac.
Great, man.
All right. Jordan, you good? Enjoy the show today?
Got a question for you guys on the way out, actually. Maybe we'll talk about this later on. What would it take for a team to want to have D'Angelo? You mentioned that the older players on the Rangers might have been sick of his shit. From the outside perspective, you want like a healthy locker room. You want some like steadying voices. But is that just kind of in contradiction with each other? Is that kind of driving where we're at?
Well, I'll go first. And I've had, some experience with players coming in, some more known than others on off-ice antics and issues. And usually before, and this is a little after what Mac probably would talk about, but once you get to a certain point and you're there has to be some sort of common ground between you and your teammates. So, for D'Angelo to come in any scenario, and we went through this a little bit with John Kordick. I wrote that in my book Undrafted, how he had this reputation, whether it was drugs or beating up teammates or, whatever the case was. There has to be a meeting of the minds and a guy that comes in, looks teammates in the eye and says, there's been some issues in the past and they won't be issues moving forward. As a player, you can't get anything going with a guy coming in of that magnitude without at least an understanding on everyone's priorities. And I'm not suggesting that D'Angelo has to come in and tell everybody that he's completely changed, or he won't do this, or he won't do that, or I'm off social media. Whatever the case is, that really comes down to between teammates. Mac, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think you always hope that that's going to be the case. And, it's hard. It's easier said than done. I mean, we look back at, the Sean Avery situation, and all of a sudden he's waved out of the league as a guy that was a pretty good player, a pretty valuable player at times. But again, it became, what's next? So we all love Sean Avery as a player, and we love listening to him talk now. I mean, I don't know the kid, but I expect he's not a bad guy, but a lot of guys don't change, and you got to sell it. You got to sell it to the team management first, and you got to sell it to the players second. I agree with you.
That's good for me. I mean, I always appreciate the perspectives that, us schmucks in chat can't get from not being there,
Jordan, you got some good examples like in the NFL or NBA that kind
of course. I mean, you have a player like J.R. Smith, who has won multiple championships. He has also tied players' shoelaces together at the foul line. He's also, sent inappropriate messages. He gets a chance. They get a chance. Most recently, James Harden through a big fit being in Houston, was known for going to strip clubs and spending lots of money on strippers and dances and stuff like that.
Yeah, but so is every other player. But that was the issue was the pandemic with that, right?
Well, the issue was he was doing that while he was saying, "Hey, I'm not coming to practice. I'm not doing this," and the pandemic on top of it.
I mean, if they would love if he would have tied Georgiev's shoelaces.
It's hard to compare to something where someone is so.
I didn't hear John Davidson mention shoelaces the other night in his press. Maybe.
There's so many things that I've read about D'Angelo's views, and I don't want to police what views someone could have. I just don't know if having that strong of opinions ever works in a locker room setting or in a team setting at all. So I don't know. That's just the way that I look at it, at least.
I will say this, that if somehow, some way the Rangers went 6 or 7-0 to start the season, those opinions wouldn't have mattered as much. So the Rangers say that his social media had nothing to do with their decision. I would bet any team would say that, just from the mere fact that you don't want to. That's something that you don't. That's not a road you want to go down as a team, right?
You know what? There's nothing worse than having a situation in your dressing room where the players don't trust a player in the dressing room. I don't know if that's the situation with them. I had that situation happen with me, and I if I ever do a book, I might put it in it, but I doubt if I would, because it was so bad. But when you have players come to you as a general manager and say, we've got to do something here. We've got to get this guy out of our room.
Wow. And
it's ugly. It was ugly.
Yeah, it's ugly. And one guy.
I don't envy the Rangers situation in this. And I feel D'Angelo's got to sell it, and Brisson's got to sell it, that this guy is not only going to change, but he's going to be a decent player.
Well, and right now that's a tough ask, because
in today's climate, it's a really tough ask.
It's a really tough ask. And
fans don't like this.
Yeah.
Fans don't like this.
Yeah. And in our hockey culture, the old saying, one bad apple can spoil the bunch, is 100% true. And we've lived it, Mac. We've had guys go through other guys' clothes for money. I mean, on different occasions in my career, where you're like, you're playing the game and you're wondering, if you're going to come back and find money gone from your pocket. It's just, it's a trust factor on so many levels. And, and that's separate, of course, for what we're talking about. But as far as D'Angelo's concerned, it may take some time. I don't think, and is there enough time, between this quarantine and I don't know whether or not people think it'll be worth it if he's got to sit out 10 to 14 days and we get to the point where the latter part of the season, it just might be too much of an ask for Pat Brisson and CAA to realistically find this guy another team. If it happens, I would think, Mac, it could happen sooner than later. Later gets tougher.
Hey, if the guy goes in and plays well somewhere and keeps his mouth shut, he could help some teams. We know that. A lot of teams.
All right, let's hope you help your team. Is it match play today or just?
Well, we play sixes. We play sixes, and
yeah.
And then you have the dots, so it can, it's fun.
Well, I hope you help your partner out today.
We should put it up on line movement.
A special event. Doug on the course.
Special event.
Tell us.
Doug Maclean at the Delray Beach Club.
Tell us in comments whether you want updates of Doug's round. Hey, 2 best balls you're going to hit all day is when you're going to step on the rake.
I'm so pissed off, by the way. I was out for a week with my teeth. I went to play last week. My approach wedge has disappeared from my bag. So I go into the pro shop at 9 holes. I realize it after I get playing. I go into the pro shop. No, it wasn't turned in. Some son of a bitch picked up my approach wedge, brand new clubs, and decided he wouldn't turn it in at the pro shop. He took it home with him. I'm so pissed off about that.
Oh my gosh.
That's why you need to have trust in the locker room, like Kyper was saying.
You need trust. See,
I'm saying,
when I lose,
at least it wasn't one of the guys I was playing with because I checked their bags.
When I play at my golf course, it gets returned.
Yeah, well, you of course you don't lose yours because the caddy would look after them.
No.
See you later.
No. All right, Doug Maclean, everybody out of Florida, and Jordan. Thanks for today. It was nice hearing from you and getting a feel for what's being talked about out there. And D'Angelo is a hot story right now still, and it's a story that's not going to go anywhere soon. But thank you for joining us, and for all of you watching. I hope you enjoyed it. First-time watcher, subscribe, leave your comments, hit the like button, and we'll see you soon here on the Real Kyper at Noon Show. Thanks again for watching.